Okay, so this is Unit 9 KA. So let's get started. Let's start with this one. Number 1, the blank is the average value of a set of numerical data found by adding all the values and dividing the number of elements in the set. That is mean. The blank is the average of some of the square differences of the mean from each element in the set of numerical data. That is the variance. And then number 3, the blank deviation is the square root of the variance in a set of numerical data, and that is the standard deviation. And then let's go ahead and see these definitions in action, starting with mean. The mean formula is this one here. This crazy symbol right here is called the sigma, and it just means the sum of something. Okay, so we're going to find the mean, which is, it's depicted by x with a little bar above it. And basically what we're doing, if you remember taking the average of things in earlier maths, that's basically what we're doing. So we're adding all of these values together, and then we're going to divide by how many there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we add at the top, you get 36 divided by 6, which is 6. And that is the mean. Now we're going to calculate the variance. And the variance is depicted by this one. And again, it looks crazy. It's not that bad. We already know we're going to need mean, and we already know that the mean is 6. And let's go ahead and get started with this one. So 6 equals, so 1 over 6. And we're going to multiply it by, so each number, we're going to subtract the mean from it. So remember the mean is 6, and then we're going to square it. And we're going to add. So it'd be 5 minus 6 squared plus 6 minus 6 squared. And then I ran out of space, so I'm going to go down here. Plus 7 minus 6 squared plus 7 minus 6 squared. And then plus 8 minus 6 squared. Okay, so I have the 1, 6 on the outside. Let's go ahead and evaluate these. So 3 minus 6 is negative 3 squared plus minus 1 squared plus 0 squared plus 1 squared plus 1 squared, and then plus 2 squared. Okay, and what that gives us, right, when we square those, 9 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1, and then plus 4. Add those up, we get 1 6 times 16. 16 over 6. If you put that in the calculator, you get 2.6, and it's repeating. And we're going to go ahead and round to the hundreds place. So that since that 6 is greater than 5, that becomes 2.67. Okay, now we're going to do the standard deviation. Well, we already know what the variance, remember by that definition, standard deviation is the square root of variance. So we know the variance is 2.67. So to find standard deviation, which is depicted by this sigma, we're going to take the square root of 2.67, take the square root of that, and what do you get? You get this one, 1.63. Okay, so here's another definition. A blank distribution is a statistical distribution of data which is symmetrical and in which the mean, median, and mode are equal. And that's called the normal distribution. Number 8, standard normal distribution is a normal distribution in which the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. Number 9, so the blank of a counting number n written in with the exclamation point, which is called factorial. Okay, and that is the product of the counting number n and all of the counting numbers less than n. And 10, a binomial coefficient is the coefficient of each term of the polynomial expansion of a plus b to the power of n. Okay, so let's look at number 11 here. It's asking, what is the probability of getting 3 heads out of 10 tries flipping a coin? Okay, so since there's only 2 possibilities, right? When you flip a coin, you either get a head or you get tails. And so we're going to use a distribution which is called the binomial distribution. And the formula to that, so we're going to find the probability of how many wins we want, which is depicted by k, times combinations of the probability to the power of k, q, and minus k. Okay. And so to tell you what each letter represents, n is the total of trials, which in this case is going to be 10 tries. So n equals 10. K is the number of wins. So for us to have a quote unquote win, we want a head. So, and how many heads do we want? We want 3. So K is 3. And then P just represents the probability of that win. So what's the probability of getting a head? It's 50%, right? So we're going to write it as a decimal, 0.5. And then Q is just 1 minus the probability, which in this case, 1 minus 0.5 is just 0.5. In other words, Q is the probability of not winning. So what's the probability of getting a tail? 50%. Okay, so we have all those letters defined. There's one more thing we need to define, and that is this right here. Okay, that right there is a combination that we need to find as first. So combination, and the formula for that is n factorial all over k factorial times n minus k factorial. Okay, so we already know what n is, 10 over, and k is 3. And we're going to go ahead and find this first before we finish out binomial distribution. So n is, so we have 10 factorial over 3 factorial times 10, whoops, minus 3 factorial. So you just get 10 factorial over 3 times 7 factorial. And you can just type that exactly into the calculator. You'll find the factorial if you're using a graphing calculator, second math. And anyway, once you do that, it'll be 120. So now we know that this is 120. We know that P is 0.5, K is 3, Q is 0.5, 10 minus 3 is 7. So that'd be 120 times 0.125 times 0.00781. Okay, put that in a calculator, you're going to get 0.1172. Okay, so number 12, blank probability is the probability of an event K occurring given that event L has or will occur. Written, the probability of K given L. Okay, and that is a conditional probability. Okay, so 13 here. So we have a bag that contains 12 blue, 9 green, 6 yellow. Without looking, what is the probability of picking a green marble? Well, the probability to find that is the number of wins over the total, um, oops, should put total number of possibilities. So wins meaning how many green marbles are there? There's 6 over the total. So 12 plus 9 plus 6. That's 6. Oops. And I flipped my. So number of green marbles is not 6, but it's 9. Hopefully y'all caught that. So 9 over 12 plus 9 plus 6, which is 9 over 27, which is simplifies to 1/3. And that's our answer. Okay, so 14, the blank principle means if a single event has m choices and a second event has n choices, the total number of possible outcomes for the compound event is m times n, and that is called the counting principle. Okay, so we're going to see an example of that in a bit. In this definition, a compound event is 2 or more events occurring at the same time. Okay, so number 16, you pick a card from a deck containing 5 cards and roll a 6-sided die. How many outcomes are possible? So this is where we're going to use the counting principle. And, and basically you're taking 5 and you're multiplying by 6, and we get 30 possible outcomes. Okay, so 17. A factory produces widgets of assorted colors. On the average, 1 out of 100 widgets produced is defective and has to be replaced at a cost of $6. The profit margin is $2 per widget. What would be the profit be per unit selling 300 widgets? Okay, so we're given some information. We know that 1 out of 100 widgets are defective, and the cost to replace that is $6. We know the profit margin is $2 per widget, and we're selling 300. Whoops. We're selling 300. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to start with profits first. So we know that each widget costs $2. And if we know that 1 out of 100 are defective, if we have 300, so using ratios, then we know we're going to have 3 defective. So we only make a profit on the ones that work. So out of 300, how many work? 297. And then we're going to subtract on the cost we have to pay to replace those broken widgets. So that'd be minus 6 times 3 over 300. Okay, type that into the calculator. What do you get? You get $1.92. Okay, and that's the end. Let's go ahead and check our answers. Okay, so number 1 is mean. Number 2 is variance. Number 3 is standard. Number 4 is 6. Number 5 is 2.67. Number 6 is 1.63. 7 is normal. 8 is 0. 9 is factorial. 10 is binomial. 11 is 0.1172. 12 is conditional. 13 is 1/3. 14 is counting. 15 is same. 16 is 30. And 17 is $1.92.